Hi, this is Majinoni, and here's my review for the Avengers: The Children's Crusade miniseries. It's part 1 of 9, and it's written by Heinberg and illustrated by Cheung. And I think those two guys really work well together. They capture the spirit of Young Avengers really well. And normally, like when I've read stories with Young Avengers that don't have these two on it, it just doesn't feel right. It just seems more generic. So one thing I'm glad about is Marvel seems to only really put these two guys on books with Young Avengers, like with major impact type thing, other than like the Civil War miniseries and crap like that. There's gonna be some spoilers, so if you have any questions, or if you haven't read your book, just come back later and watch the review or overview. Now, the beginning here, it's nothing special. Because basically what they're doing is they're just setting the stage for anybody who has not read the Young Avengers title. They explain who all the characters are and their relationship to things, and they're basically fighting the Sons of Serpent. So it's some generic, super villain group type thing who wants to ethnically clean everything type thing. Well, you have Cap, Iron Man, and Miss Marvel come in to basically put a stop to everything. And the leader of the Serpents is basically like, well, I have a nuke, you better step away. And before they can do anything, Wiccan demonstrates an incredible amount of power where he subdues everybody. The heroes get up, but the Serpent people, they're all in comas. So what they're basically doing here is not only do they introduce all the characters, they come out and say, okay, Wiccan is really powerful. He doesn't fully know what his abilities are. He can't fully control his abilities yet. He possibly is related to the Scarlet Witch, and if he is, then they need to do something to prevent him from following down the same road as the Scarlet Witch and causing a huge catastrophe like she did. Now, I really did like this page here just because you have Wiccan up in the air, you have the light coming down, and you have the energy waves around him, and the perspective of, looking from the down to up. I thought it was really, really nice. I mean, if I had the money, I'd buy this page. But I think this page would probably be a little cheaper because of the extra light. Well, anyways, so you have the Captain, Iron Man, and them coming up saying, okay, we don't trust you, you have too much power, so you need to be under observation for a little bit. And especially with the connection with Scarlet Witch. And of course the Young Avengers don't know anything about what happened, so they have to explain everything to them, with the House of M and how Scarlet Witch did the No More Mutants and wiped out, basically committed genocide. Which I think, it's, for me, since I read it all, it's like, oh, here we go again, you just wasted 2 pages. But, it's actually a nice tool for those who have no clue, who just jumped on board, considering this thing came out years ago. Well, obviously, Wiccan and the Young Avengers don't appreciate that kind of talk, and they take off. And there's a little misunderstanding between Wiccan and the Young Avengers, because, obviously they're concerned. He looks at their concern as siding with Cap. So he takes off on his own, and Cap beats him to his house and has a few words with his parents. At this time, Wiccan finally decides to go home with Cap, and Hulkling comes and says, no, we're partners, I'm going with him. Cap goes, fine. Jarvis prepares them for a room. They don't like the double, so Wiccan makes it a single. For those of you who don't know, they're boyfriends. Speed comes in and says, hey, what are you guys doing? Why are you making out when we got issues here? And then he vibrates them out of the room. Now, to add further claim to the concern of Cap and Miss Marvel and everybody else, you have Wiccan, who's claiming to potentially be the Scarlet Witch's son, and then you have Speed, who could be the brother of Wiccan because they look so similar. Now, that could be Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Now, Wiccan's point of view to this whole mess is, look, if Scarlet Witch went crazy because she had her children killed or taken away from her like that, then don't you think if we came up to her and said, "Look, we're alive," that's going to basically reset her and she'll be normal again? Well, logic would dictate that, but I think somebody just doesn't go from perfectly insane to sane again just because she sees two people who could potentially be her kids. Now, they fully understand, obviously they're not really they're not really brothers because they have different biological families, and they understand that they did not, they're not the sons of Scarlet Witch, but what they believe is maybe it's their spirit that is, that transcended through time and space and ended up in these two different bodies. So, they're basically, this is where the Young Justice goes, okay, look, we're buddies, we're going to protect you, let's go look for the Scarlet Witch and we'll get this fixed. Now, there's a special guest star at the last page, but I'm going to save that for you guys to read. Don't want to spoil everything. Now, overall, I thought the book was really good. And, I'm not going to say it was a wonderful work of literature. What they did do, which I thought was good, was they set the stage to say, here's who the players are, here's the history, this is where we need to go. And I think Heinberg did it in such a way where he didn't bore me. Because you figure, I have the Young Avengers trade, I've read it all, I know who these characters are, but it's been so long since we've actually seen them in action again that it was nice for that refresher to say, okay, Patriot was the son of the original Super Soldier, the Hawkeye, Cap gave her the bow and quiver type thing, Hulkling was the son of Captain Marvel type thing. So, it was nice to have that as a ground, so that way we can go from that story. Because otherwise, if you figure somebody who didn't come in during the House of M or all that Young Avengers stuff picks this up, they're going to be lost. They're going to have no clue what's going on. So, and I think as Heinberg did it in such a way, it was entertaining and not, at least to me, was entertaining and not boring. Originally I wasn't going to buy this, but I decided at the last minute to pick it up, and I was pleasantly surprised. I'm hoping this is going to be good, turn out to be good, and as long as it's good as the original Young Justice series, I'll be happy, and I'll buy this trade also when it comes out. So I just hope that they can maintain a similar level of quality. Just in terms of the artwork alone, that alone is making me want to buy it. So having a good story on top of that is a nice touch too. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it on the side. And who is your favorite Young Justice character, would you say? For me, I kind of like Wiccan, I like Hulkling, and I like Hawkeye. Those are my three favorite ones. Subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it. And until next time.